So yesterday's update saw a nerf to the FFAR, the Groza, as well as the AUG, and in this video we're going to take a look at the AUG's new recoil pattern and compare it to the M16 to see which one of these weapons you should use inside Warzone. If you enjoy weapon comparisons, weapon stat breakdowns, and overall tips and tricks for Warzone, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we try to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers, and also click that link in the description down below and follow us over on Twitch. We want to achieve a goal of 100 followers over there as well. So the first thing is that they increased the recoil on the AUG, and we're going to discuss that later on in this video. But the next thing they did was they actually increased the ADS time on the FFAR1 for the base weapon, but then they also fixed the wraps for all of the Cold War guns. So essentially they didn't really change the ADS time, and knowing that the field agent grip doesn't really help that much for recoil anymore, you can just swap out the field agent grip for the serpent wrap or the elastic wrap, and you'll be back to the same aim down sight time once again with the FFAR. So that wasn't a huge change whatsoever. The FAR is still the best close range weapon. And then lastly, they did damage nerf the Groza with the mil-spec barrel. They added in an extra damage range which wasn't originally there. Now at closer ranges, the Groza will still be an amazing option and can still compete with the FFAR. But like I said, you do still get that damage drop off now. So I think a lot of people will just start using the FFAR once again. But without wasting too much time, let's get on into this M16 and AUG comparison. Now I'm just going to quickly run through the class setups we use to compare both of these guns. So we use the agency silencer, strike team barrel, the field agent foregrip, the 45 round mags now because the salvo mags do actually affect your aim down sight time significantly now. And then lastly, the axial arms. And then we did exactly the same thing with the AUG as well, because this was the meta build, and I think it still is if you're really wanting to use the AUG. But like I said, we'll discuss all that later on in this video. But that's the two classes we use to compare for this video. And what I'll show you now is overall handling stats for both of these weapons. But before I do that, I just want to let you know that this is all a retest. We didn't take any data from older videos. We made sure to retest this all over again just to make sure they didn't change anything else. So on screen now, you will see the M16 on the left, the AUG on the right, and the rate of fire is with those strike team barrels added, and all of these stats are with the full weapon classes stacked on the guns. So the aim down sight time on the AUG is slightly quicker. Now it's not massively quicker, but it is a slight difference. The magazine size is about the same. The M16 has a slightly faster reload, and again, it's not a huge difference in terms of reload quickness there. The bullet velocity advantage still goes to the AUG at the moment, and I think that's going to stay the same. Even if they do nerf other aspects of the AUG, the bullet velocity will still always be better than the M16. And then lastly, overall movement speeds are exactly identical for both of these guns. So if you're looking at this overall, the AUG does seem to have the best benefits, and that is why it was the meta weapon for such a long time, is because it does have the faster aim down sight time, it does have the faster rate of fire, and it also does have the faster bullet velocity as well. But like I said, now that it's had this recoil nerf, is it still the best gun to use, especially at those longer ranges? So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at actually what has changed with the recoil on the AUG and compare it with the M16. And like I said, we're using these meta builds to compare it all. Another thing I also wanted to test for this video, and it's something that they did change just in that last update too, because all the wraps have been fixed, I did also want to test the airborne elastic wrap on the AUG to make sure that it does actually help with aiming stability as well, just to see if these attachments are actually working as intended. So on screen now, what you'll see is a recoil chart comparison. In yellow, you'll see the AUG with the class setup we've shown. Then in pink, you'll see the AUG with the airborne elastic wrap. And then in blue, you'll see the M16. And as you can see, the AUG's recoil has increased significantly. Now, I spammed these weapons with the full 30 round mags as quickly as I possibly could to get these results. So that is how I got these actual recoil charts. And you can do the exact same thing yourself as well. Now, with the yellow AUG, as you can see, it doesn't really bundle together as it used to. It actually increases as you keep firing. So what happens here is that the spread between the bullets hasn't actually changed, but the recenter time has changed. So what that means is it's going to take a while for the aim to go back to where you were aiming at originally. Now you can actually compensate for this and drag down on your analog stick, which actually isn't too difficult to do. But once again, if you compare it with the M16, you don't even need to bother dragging down with your analog stick. You can actually just get this recoil pattern by spamming the gun. And that is why I do think the M16 needs a nerf as well in a similar way in terms of recoil. And I think that will make both of the guns balanced and make them kind of very similar to each other as they previously were. But in the current state, the M16 is definitely the better weapon because you're going to land more shots. But lastly, I do want to talk about this airborne elastic wrap. So down the middle, you will see in pink the airborne elastic wrap, and it doesn't really look like the recoil is any better with the airborne elastic wrap. Now, if you know anything about idle sway and aiming stability, if you do get better aiming stability, you should have a lot better recoil patterns and a lot more consistent recoil patterns. And honestly, it doesn't really look any different to the yellow path that we've shown on the very left. So what can we take away from what we're just talking about right now is the fact that, yes, you do get a better recoil pattern with the M16, which is great, but also the airborne elastic wrap, the stat for aiming stability seems to not help whatsoever. So I would mainly focus on that aim down sight time. And in terms of ADS time, the airborne elastic wrap is the best at reducing that, but the serpent wrap also does a great job as well without giving you as many cons as the airborne elastic wrap. So like I said, the last thing we need to take a look into is the time to kill value for both of these guns. And we did some quick testing to know that the damage values on the AUG as well as the M16 hasn't changed, and the rate of fire values haven't changed either. And what that means is we could use the True Game Data website to actually compare the TTKs of both of these guns. So like I said, a link to their stuff will be in the description down below because that's what we're using to compare the time to kill values. And what you'll see here is the pink line is the M16 with the strike team barrel. And then the orange line is the AUG with the strike team barrel. And this is with 250 health, which is 3 armor plates. And this is landing only chest shots. So what you can see here is the time to kill on the M16 is 767 milliseconds, which is a decently fast time to kill, especially if you're landing all of your shots, which is very easy to do with the M16, as we've just seen with the recoil chart. But then the time to kill with the AUG is slightly better by about, 60 milliseconds. And this has a time to kill of 708 milliseconds, which is definitely better than the M16, but keep in mind, you're not going to land your shots as easily as you would with the M16, and the time to kill values is not hugely different, especially when you add in a single headshot. And what I'll do is I'll bring up the values now of what we calculated if you land one headshot and the rest body shots with both of these guns. And what you'll see here is that the time to kill for the M16 gets dropped down to 638 milliseconds, and then the time to kill on the AUG is 590 milliseconds. So the time to kill for both of these guns drops significantly when you do land one single headshot, and that is why these guns are so powerful inside Warzone right now. So to quickly summarize, even though the recoil on the AUG has been nerfed, nothing else on the AUG has been nerfed at all. So if you are good at controlling the recoil, you can still get away with using the AUG. But what I would definitely recommend for most players to do is just switch to the M16. Yes, it doesn't have the better bullet velocity. Yes, it doesn't have the better aim down sight time or even the better time to kill overall. But because you're going to be landing more of your shots because that recoil is so easy to manage, similar to the way the AUG was before, you're better off switching to the M16 because you're going to land more shots and get a better practical time to kill. But like I said, the M16 is definitely the better option now in my opinion, and I highly recommend using this gun and switching out for your AUG. And obviously you want to use this build right now. But the main thing to take away from this is I do think they will also nerf the M16's recoil pattern, similar to the way they done it with the AUG as well. And that will just balance both of these weapons and make them very similar. Let me know what you think about this nerf down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we're trying to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers. And also click that link in the description and follow us over on Twitch. We want to reach our goal of 100 followers over there too. And thank you very much for watching.